Picture this. It's a Tuesday morning. You're sitting at your kitchen table with a cup of coffee and you open your banking app, like most of us do almost by instinct now. And there it is again. The same charge, $847 a month, just gone. Like it was never yours. You're not behind on anything. Your credit score is fine. You make decent money. But somehow, every month you're watching this number disappear and thinking, where did it all go? That charge isn't your mortgage, it's not rent, it's not even your car payment. It's the pile of monthly subscriptions, minimum payments and service bills you've been paying so automatically for so long that you've stopped questioning them entirely. And here's what nobody told you. That's exactly how the trap works. Today, I want to talk about a specific category of monthly bill, one that millions of Americans are still paying in 2026. That is mathematically one of the most destructive forces on your long-term financial life. And I don't mean destructive in a dramatic, clickbait way. I mean it in a quiet, compounding, decade-long way that only becomes obvious when it's already cost you six figures. Let's get into it. Let me give you some context first, because the numbers here are genuinely startling. According to the Federal Reserve's most recent survey of consumer finances, the average American household carries about $6,000 in revolving credit card debt. That's the median. The mean is closer to $10,000. And Experian's 2024 Consumer Credit Report found that the average American holds 3.9 credit cards. Now here's where it gets interesting. The average credit card interest rate as of early 2025, according to the Federal Reserve's own data, sits at approximately 21.5% APR. That is not a typo, 21.5%. You might be thinking, okay, but I pay my balance off every month. Good. If that's you, this section still matters because I'm going to show you the psychology behind why most people think they're managing debt when they're actually just treading water. But for the 40% of Americans who carry a balance month to month, that $6,000 isn't just sitting there, it's growing. Here's the math, and I want you to actually follow this because it's going to change how you see your monthly statement. $6,000 at 21.5% APR. If you're making the minimum payment, typically calculated as 1% of the balance plus interest, you're paying roughly $150 a month. Sounds manageable, right? At that rate, you will spend over 6 years paying off that balance. And the total amount you'll repay? Approximately $10,800. On a $6,000 purchase, you paid $4,800 extra for the privilege of spreading it out. That's not a bill. That's a subscription to being broke. Now let me explain why this keeps happening. Because it's not stupidity. It's not laziness. It's actually behavioral economics. And the credit industry has spent billions of dollars engineering this exact outcome. There's a concept called payment decoupling. When you swipe a card, or tap your phone, or click buy now, pay later, your brain doesn't register the transaction the same way it would if you handed someone cash. Studies from MIT and Carnegie Mellon have shown that consumers willingly pay up to 83% more for the same item when using credit versus cash. The pain of paying is literally anesthetized. And then there's the minimum payment anchor. Credit card companies are legally required to show you the minimum payment, but there's a reason they don't lead with the total payoff amount. The minimum is designed to anchor your brain to the smallest possible number. It feels responsible. It feels like you're handling it, you're not handling it, you're feeding it. Think of it this way. Imagine you had a leak in your roof. Every month you put a bucket under the drip. The bucket fills, you empty it, you feel like you solved the problem. But the roof is still leaking. The minimum payment is the bucket. The 21.5% interest rate is the hole in the roof. There's also something called status quo bias. Our brain's deep preference for keeping things exactly as they are. Changing a recurring payment requires action, effort, a phone call, maybe some discomfort. So we don't. We let the $847 in monthly bills auto-renew. Year after year, while our savings account earns 0.4% and our credit card charges us 21%. Here's the brutal truth. The financial system is not neutral. It's designed to keep money flowing toward institutions and away from you, not out of malice, just out of incentive. And once you understand that, you can start fighting back. So what's the specific bill I'm talking about? Honestly, it's not one bill, it's a category of bill. And I'll break it down into 3 layers. Layer 1. Revolving credit card balances. We covered the math. If you're carrying any balance at 20% plus APR, that balance is the single highest return investment you could eliminate in your financial life. Paying off a 21% debt is the same as earning a guaranteed 21% return. There is no index fund, no real estate play, no crypto scheme that offers that with zero risk. Layer 2. Subscription creep. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks consumer expenditures, and what's emerged over the last decade is striking. The average American household now spends approximately $219 per month on subscription services, streaming, and software, fitness apps, meal kits, cloud storage. That's up from under $80 a decade ago. Here's the problem. Most people, when asked, estimate they spend about $80 a month on subscriptions. The gap between what we think we pay and what we actually pay is almost 3 times. This isn't a budgeting failure. It's a deliberate design choice by subscription companies, auto-renewals, free trials that flip, annual memberships build quietly. They bank on your inertia. $219 a month is $2,628 a year. Invested in an S&P 500 index fund, averaging 10% historical returns over 20 years. That's over $166,000 from subscriptions alone. Layer 3. The convenience fee lifestyle. This one's quieter, but just as powerful. It's the $9.99 expedited shipping you click without thinking. The $4 ATM fee at a bank that's not yours. The $15 late fee because you forgot to move autopay. Individually, these feel trivial. Collectively, the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City estimates that the average household loses $350 to $500 annually to what researchers call friction fees, charges that exist specifically because switching costs feel higher than the fee itself. Now, I want to zoom out because this is where the conversation gets genuinely uncomfortable. Let's say you're 32 years old, you have $8,000 in credit card debt, you're paying about $250 a month in subscriptions you're kind of using, and you're losing another $400 a year in friction fees. You feel like you're doing okay. You're not in foreclosure. You're not calling debt collectors. You're just managing. Here's what just managing costs you by retirement at 65. The interest on that $8,000 debt, if you minimum pay it, will cost you roughly $7,000 in interest over the life of the debt. But that's not the real cost. The real cost is what you could have done with that money. If instead of paying that $7,000 in interest, you'd invested it at 7% real returns over 33 years, that's $75,000. Gone. Your $219 per month in subscriptions, if half of that, $110 per month, were redirected to an IRA starting at 32, by 65, that's approximately $148,000 in today's dollars, assuming 7% average annual growth. Your friction fees, $400 per year redirected, that's another $46,000 by retirement. We're now talking about $269,000 in lost wealth from bills that felt normal. That's not a financial crisis. That's a slow leak you never fixed. And here's the part that stings the most. It's not that you spent that money on something meaningful. You spent it on late fees, on apps you forgot you had, and on interest charges that built someone else's quarterly earnings report. You might be thinking, I've heard this before. This is just basic budgeting advice dressed up fancy. Fair. Let me challenge that. Most budgeting advice tells you to cut lattes and track every dollar. That's behavioral whack-a-mole. You fix one thing, another drains somewhere else. What I'm describing is different. It's about identifying the structural bills in your life, the ones that recur automatically, that your brain has categorized as fixed, that you've stopped consciously choosing. You didn't choose to pay 21% APR this month. You chose it once, maybe years ago, and it's been renewing ever since, without your active consent. That's the distinction. Active spending is something you can work with psychologically. Structural, automatic spending is invisible to your brain, which means it's invisible to your willpower too. You might also be thinking, but I need those subscriptions, my life is different. I'm not saying cancel everything, I'm saying audit with intent. There's a difference between a $15 per month audiobook service you use daily and a $12 per month fitness app you opened twice in March. One is value, one is overhead. The question isn't, can I afford this? The question is, would I choose to buy this again today, knowing exactly what it costs me? That reframe alone changes everything. All right, Here are 4 specific, actionable moves you can make this week, not someday. This week, strategy 1, the debt avalanche. Aggressively. List every debt you carry with its interest rate. Pay minimums on everything else and throw every available dollar at the highest rate balance first. This is not groundbreaking advice, but most people don't do it because they don't feel the urgency. Here's how to create urgency. Calculate exactly what that debt is costing you in dollars per day. $8,000 at 21.5% APR equals $4.71 per day in interest. Every day you don't accelerate payoff, you're paying $4.71 for nothing. Make that number visible. Put it somewhere you'll see it. Strategy 2. The subscription funeral. Go to your bank statement right now and highlight every charge under $50 that recurred in the last 60 days. Every one of them. Then ask yourself, did I consciously choose to pay this again this month? For every one where the answer is no, cancel it today, not tomorrow. The companies make cancellation annoying on purpose. Do it anyway. Set a calendar reminder to run this audit every 90 days. Strategy 3. Rate negotiation. It actually works. According to a 2024 Lending Tree survey, 76% of credit card holders who called and asked for a lower interest rate received one. 76%. The average reduction was about 6 percentage points. That is a phone call that takes 12 minutes and could save you hundreds of dollars this year. You already have a relationship with the bank. Use it. Strategy 4. Build the automatic wealth machine. Here's the behavioral flip side of automatic payments working against you. You can make them work for you. The moment you free up any cash from the first 3 strategies, even $75 a month, automate it directly into a Roth IRA or a low-cost index fund. Don't let it hit your checking account first. The same psychological mechanism that made you forget about your streaming subscriptions will make you forget your investing. Except this time, the compounding works in your direction. Here's what I want you to take away from this. The financial trap in 2026 isn't a scam. It's not some predatory lender knocking on your door. It's the quiet accumulation of automatic decisions you made years ago, running in the background of your life, compounding against you month after month. You're not bad with money. You're operating on an old system in a new financial environment. The tools designed to serve you have been quietly optimized to extract from you. Recognizing that isn't cynical, it's clarifying. Because once you see the structural payments, the ones you're not actively choosing, you can start making real choices. And real choices, compounded over time, are how ordinary people build extraordinary financial lives. You don't need to be rich to start. You need to be awake. Pick one thing from today's video. 1. The debt calculation, the subscription audit, the phone call to negotiate your rate. Do it this week. Not because one action changes everything, but because the habit of action changes everything. The version of you in 15 years is going to be shaped by decisions that feel small right now. Make them count.